Well, hello, friends. Welcome to today's episode of Stand Up. I've got the brilliant David Rothkopf joining me as my guest today. If you want to jump to the conversation, it begins at 24 minutes. But I've got your headlines and your clips here. So please like and subscribe if you're watching. And if you're listening on the podcast, great to have you here. Everybody, thank you very, very much for joining me. I have a lot to share today, so I want to get right to it and want to mention that this news story that everybody heard last night scared the hell out of all of us immediately from the Supreme Court is not as bad as it looks or sounds. Don't freak out. The Supreme Court did not just let Trump and the USPS post office implement their mail-in balloting rules. Of course, President Scammy Davis Jr. has always wanted to interfere with mail-in voting, even though that's actually how he votes. But he especially wants to interfere now with the upcoming midterm elections, and he's betting that the U.S. Supreme Court will help him. A lot of us last night saw that report and thought that's exactly what just happened. But apparently a lot of the media is getting it wrong, mischaracterizing it. It allows the Trump administration to plan to potentially make a crime happen, if you will, but doesn't necessarily implement it. So let's see, a lot of legal thickets in the way, very little time to make it so. Not a win for Trump, but also not a loss. It obviously creates chaos is one interpretation. Another interpretation, let me tell you what did not happen today. The Supreme Court did not rule that Trump's election order is legal. 6 justices did not sign their names to anything because it was unsigned. Because they're chickens. They issued a short unsigned order saying the states sued too early. I wonder if that helps a little bit, but we'll all be looking for more analysis from the trusted experts in our lives. I'll be talking with our friend Eric Siegel, either definitely off the air, but maybe on air today as well. I will also be talking to climate scientist Michael Mann today and Gil Duran, who, well, everybody wants to talk to. He is the author of The Nerd Reich, and he's got this new book. Very smart guy. That's today at 4 o'clock. If you're watching this anytime before 4 p.m. on the 25th of August, 2026, I'm very happy to have you here. Please support the channel and the show. Patreon.com/Pete Dominick and on Substack at StandUpWithPete. Get a paid subscription at either place. More headlines. Okay. Like I said, I'll be talking to Dr. Mann, Michael Mann, the climate scientist now at University of Pennsylvania, my old friend, today about this headline. The earth is hot. Yeah. Like all the hottest measurements have been being taken lately, hottest July ever. And yesterday we found out from the European Climate Service, Copernicus, that the world's oceans are now, they've simmered to their hottest temperature on record. Just this past weekend, they're likely to warm even further over the next few months because you got the El Nino and climate change combining to make the world's ocean's temperatures 70 degrees Fahrenheit, I guess, was the measurement, the overall average, nearly edging out the average daily record set back in March 2024. We did it. Another sign our climate system is under strain and the ocean under immense pressure. I'll talk more with Dr. Michael Mann about that headline later on today. Oh, this was good news yesterday. Seriously, good news. You're reading from the Associated Press. An arbitrator has ordered the Washington Post to reinstate a black opinion writer fired over social media posts about violent white men following last year's killing of Charlie Kirk. That's right. This ruling said the Washington Post did not have sufficient cause to terminate Karen Attiah, who at the time was the last black full-time member of the Washington Post's opinion desk. And the arbitrator also ordered the Post to award her full back pay and loss benefits. And her reaction on Threads was really wonderful. And everybody was very excited to see her get that win yesterday because justice does matter. And Karen Attiah got a little bit from the Washington Post. She wrote, after wrongfully firing me last year, an independent arbitrator has ordered the Washington Post to reinstate me immediately with back pay. It's been a year-long fight, this victory for journalists everywhere. More to come soon. Then she tagged it with, give me my things. And finally, is it a good time to announce that I'm single and looking to settle down? And so I proposed to her on Threads. I think she's wonderful, and I am real excited to see that. All right, how about this story? Also from the Associated Press, the CDC apparently has a whole bunch of programs that are well funded but don't have people working in them. They're called zombie programs, they call them. Congress funds them, but few people are left to do the work. And it's a very, very interesting and important story. But one part of it reads, Trump officials turned some CDC programs into the living dead. The decision to freeze the programs, it's all about the layoffs and cutting of government, yet they're still paying. Could you imagine more waste, fraud, or abuse than just keeping an office open and paying everybody but not having anybody doing actually any work? Okay, well, this is another important story. California Attorney General has canceled the Paramount settlement talks over the $111 billion Warner Brothers Discovery deal, saying he'll meet when they stop playing games. Read more about it at Variety and everywhere else. That's an important, impactful story. The United States is set for the largest mass visa revocation in history, targeting up to 200,000 foreigners. Yes, the regime is preparing to revoke business and tourism visas of up to 200,000 foreigners who have applied for or are currently seeking asylum in the status in the United States. I wonder which people it'll be. I wonder who's going to have their visa revoked. I wonder what the parameters will be. The Treasury Secretary and wax-like figure Scott Bessent threatened new Iran secondary sanctions. He said Trump is asking world leaders to cooperate. Big announcement yesterday that I don't think anybody felt was going to be that impactful. His announcement was directed at countries whose trade and business relations still benefit Iran. And so we'll see how that goes for them. I think it was Economic D-Day. I talk more about it with David Rothkopf coming up. All right, those are the headlines that I've got for you. Well, nearly 2 weeks after the thunderstorms pummeled Indiana, the region near Gary, Indiana, 30,000 people are still without power, about 15,000 of which live in Gary, Indiana. The New York Times has a story that crop prices have plunged and most farmers are going to lose money this year. And a depleted Department of Agriculture is struggling to provide basic services to farmers. That sounds like a pretty important story to be following. And finally, U.S. forces killed 2 men in a strike against a boat in the Eastern Pacific, bringing the death toll in the campaign to at least 223 targeted assassinations by the United States military, where it used to be a capture, arrest, and due process situation, of course, that the Coast Guard or military would handle. But now we just not know who they are and shoot them with a missile. Okay. Well, those are the stories that I've got for you. They sound scary and terrible. You're probably depressed if you heard all of that, but that's not all there is to life. There is much, much more. And most things that are happening, believe it or not, are good. That's always my reminder. Most planes landed. Most people are not starving, and so on and so forth. You might think that sounds silly, but I always remind myself of how big the world is and how this is the news. These are the aberrations. Okay, now I've got your clips, some great clips for you. Let's start with Sky Perryman of Democracy Forward on MS Now last night talking about this Supreme Court decision.
To be very clear, the president will lose on this.
When do you expect?
I believe that lawsuits will be filed the minute that the rule finally goes into effect.
We believe that's Wednesday.
Yeah, I think that you will see those because all the Supreme Court said was, oops, too early, come back. Now, I don't agree with what the majority of the Supreme Court did here because exactly of what you're saying. And I feel the outrage and I feel it too on behalf of hundreds of millions of people in this country. But the bottom line is this is a debater's point. This is not any type of a substantive win for the White House. And their attempt to have the American people believe that they're winning right now is all about trying to confuse people and get people.
I have one more question and then I will be quiet. Yeah. Okay. So let's say the rule goes into effect on Wednesday, lawsuits are filed. If the rule goes into effect Wednesday at 7:01 a.m., lawsuits are filed at 8 a.m., how long before it works its way up to the Supreme Court? I'm asking like this because I think it's important for people to know, yes, you're right. The court did not say that the administration was right. To be clear, the administration didn't even argue that it was right. They just argued that they shouldn't be blocked from doing it. Procedural. My concern is this, though. We have no guarantee that they will be stopped. And that's why I'm like, they're going to be filed, but when? And then how long before it works its way up to the Supreme Court for them to say, actually, yeah, this can stop?
Your concern is absolutely right. I believe that you will see swift legal challenges. I believe courts, like every other court has done, is going to knock out what the president has done. And then the administration is going to try to take those court orders against it up to the Supreme Court. I think you will see that happen rather rapidly, but that doesn't obscure the concern that you're voicing, which is the concern I think everyone at this table feels, and I know that the American people feel in this moment, which is this is an administration that's trying to silence your voice, and they're trying to do it by creating all types of chaos. Yeah. And this is a Supreme Court that is allowing them to continue to create that chaos.
There you go. Sky Perryman calming everybody down and explaining it. And I trust her and the work of her organization, as well as Mark Elias and so many others out there that are doing such great work on behalf of all of us. So if you can support and donate to those organizations, then that's why we keep winning in court, for those of us here on Earth One. Okay, now let's take a look at a clip from Canada. This is their premier, Doug Ford. It went absolutely viral yesterday because it's tough talk that you need. He is none's too happy, nor are any Canadians, with the war that this regime has started over, well, everything that we buy and sell to each other.
Up here, red is liberal, blue is conservative. It's opposite down there, just to explain to the people. The red states are Republican, blue are Democrat, but the red states, we're going to hit hard.
Hi, Premier. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Hi, Siobhan.
I just wanted to sort of figure out your thinking about how you thread this needle with the president taking very specific aim at you in deeply personal ways.
Good.
Well, also, why is that good?
Well, good. He can, something. I've been in this game a lot longer than he has. I got skin on me like an alligator. And you think an insult from him hurts me? Well, bring it on, buddy. I'm ready. Bring it on. You know something? I've dealt with guys like you my whole life. And guess what? You all become losers because you're a loser.
Wow. You're a loser. I love that. I like it a lot. And the guys behind him, construction uniforms, were kind of smiling and laughing about it too. All right, well, I'm not a huge fan of Charlemagne the God, but when he says something that I think is smart or, speaking for a lot of us, and I see the clip, I'll grab it. His donkey of the day bit, one of the reasons I don't like him is because he once gave it to someone that I respect. I won't even humble it. But he gave his donkey of the day to Enes Kanter, this asshole, former basketball player who's trying to identify as a woman, caused a stir at a game over the weekend when he showed up like a dick. Anyway, here's what Charlemagne had to say about it.
You've lost the plot. All right. He says he's doing all of this because he wants to protect women. Yeah. So you go into a space built around women, a league played by women, a workplace where women are doing their jobs, and you create a situation where one of the women playing basketball ends up arguing with you. And now the headline coming out of the game isn't about the women's basketball game. It's about you, Enes Kanter freedom. Okay. How did protecting women become making yourself the main character in women's spaces? That's what I don't understand. All right. You don't protect women's spaces by walking into women's spaces and making the whole damn space about you. Okay. If you have to manufacture the crisis you're warning everybody about, okay, if your activism requires you to manufacture the very crisis you claim to be fighting against, then you're not raising awareness to a problem. You actually are the problem.
Yeah, he's stupid.
He's the problem.
Dumb. That's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that about says it. I thought that was well said. And somebody or he writes those out. And so I just thought it was worth sharing with you there. How about my old friend Jeffrey Sachs' analysis of our mentally ill president? Of course, the Columbia University professor. And, here he is, Sachs. Listen to this.
Donald Trump is literally mentally ill to a very serious extent. He is, from a personality point of view, a malignant narcissist, I think, is the right definition. Or if you want a more classical diagnosis, dark triad personality, which means that he is personally narcissistic. He is Machiavellian, which means that in, I think, psychological terms, that is manipulative, untrustworthy, deceitful, and he is psychopathic, meaning that there is no empathy for how many people he kills or how much damage is done. The malignant narcissist definition adds paranoia and confabulation to this list. So I personally think we're dealing with a psychologically deeply debilitated individual who happens to have a lot of power.
He goes on to say a lot more. That whole clip is profound and well stated by Jeffrey Sachs there. And now I want to share a clip of the new Democratic nominee for Senate in Florida. It's Angie Nixon. Everybody in mainstream politics saying she does not have a chance and no one should send any money to her campaign. And I think the Pod Saves America guy said that and really got raked for it. So I don't know what her potential possibility is to win in Florida. I just know that stranger things have happened, but you have to look at how the maps are drawn there and gerrymandered there and who's in charge. But here she is on Democracy Now! Because I like watching her, and I thought this was interesting.
I know there's a rumor going around saying that I want to abolish prisons. I don't. I want to abolish for-profit prisons. There's also a rumor going around saying that I want to defund the police. I don't want to defund the police. I want to defund flock cameras so that bad cops don't have the ability to stalk their ex-girlfriends or their ex-boyfriends. I want to make sure that we have a justice system that works for everyone, not just for the billionaires and co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein, who actually are treated more fairly than a single mom who got caught stealing formula to make sure that her child had food. And so these are things that need to really be worked on. We need to make sure that hardworking everyday people get to shape what their communities look like and what their economies look like. And that's my mantra, that's my motto, and that's what I'm fighting for each and every day.
All right, there you go. Another look at Angie Nixon in Florida. All right, next up, it's the minority leader of Democrats in the Congress. It is Hakeem Jeffries, trying to clear up the controversy around his meeting with Scammy Davis Jr.'s son, the Prince, Jared Kushner.
He asked for a meeting, and I took it to discuss the affordability crisis that exists that is not a hoax. At the same period of time, I shouldn't have to say it, but I am. No one is going to get a pass. We're going to hold every single member of the Trump cartel accountable, beginning on day one. If you're stealing from the American people, shortchanging the American people, or screwing over the American people, you're going to be held accountable. We're going to follow the facts, apply the law, and be guided by the Constitution, beginning on day one, and hold the crooks accountable. And that's what we've done as House Democrats from the beginning of this Congress. We battled the Trump administration on tariffs, battled them on Medicaid, battled them on Epstein, battle them on nutritional assistance, battle them on the Affordable Care Act, battle them on the reckless war of choice in Iran, battle them on ICE funding, and battle them on the unprecedented corruption unleashed on the American people. And we've delivered results. Pam Bondi is gone. Kristi Noem is gone. And we're just getting started. At the same period of time, the affordability crisis in this country is very real.
Well, there you go. He didn't say he's going to hold Jared Kushner accountable. I mean, he could have been like, and starting with Jared Kushner. It's a real mess. Everybody's very upset about that, except for our friend Bill Boyle and other, quote, normal Democrats, according to Bill. We'll be talking about that with him soon. I'll let him defend that point on his own. Let's now get to last but not least, very funny comedian commentator from the UK, Jonathan Pye, with another great rant. Jonathan Pye News.
President Donald Trump has said Canada wants the benefits of being a state without being one after trade talks between the two countries collapsed late on Friday. He's got bored, hasn't he? Because he successfully won the war in Iran this week by simply naming the Strait of Hormuz American territory. Job done. Don't know why he didn't do that on day one. Could have saved himself a whole lot of bother. But victory is Trump's. Hooray! The reality is, of course, the Americans are running out of ammo and their sailors are trying to jump overboard. But no, he's definitely won the war in Iran. So now he's finished with the Middle East. Who's next? Canada, of course. Again, those bastard Canadians. Just a little trade war this time. He'll be talking about invading Greenland again soon. He wants to not just be imperial president of the USA, but imperial overlord of the Western world. Why does he keep doing this? Why does he treat his allies and trading partners like they're the enemy, causing chaos and uncertainty across the globe? Because, of course, Trumpism is built on chaos. He loves chaos. Why? Because he makes money out of chaos. The most openly corrupt president in American history makes money out of the chaos he creates. It's never about what's right. It's always about what makes Trump money. Donald Trump has shattered the illusion of American morality. The $2.1 billion in perfectly timed directional oil bets placed minutes before presidential announcements. Someone, somewhere, has made a shitload of money out of this war, and I'm betting that person is Donald Trump. What about Trump charging Wall Street traders $100,000 a month for faster access to the president's posts on his Truth Social platform, allowing them to profit directly from state-sanctioned insider trading? How that would work, of course, is 3 or 4 hours before he does something, he just does a post to all his Wall Street insider traders saying something like, in about 4 hours, I am going to fuck with Mark Carney, so go make some money. What about Trump admitting that his sons benefit from insider trading and then managing to get himself and his sons immunity from the tax authorities? Or him trying to get US taxpayers to pay for a $1.8 billion slush fund for January the 6th insurrectionists? An administration who is happy to pardon violent January the 6th insurrectionists, but dare to protest ICE agents, the White House will happily condone you getting shot in the face. A convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist who took a bulldozer to the White House and is building a bunker under it in which he can lock himself when he loses the next election. The man who makes up wars that didn't happen so he can say he solved them. Who recently invented a new way of doing percentages, surrounding himself with people too afraid to point out to him that if egg prices drop by 600%, it means the chicken is paying you to steal its eggs.
Oh, he's so good, and that wasn't even all of it. It goes on and on. There you go, Jonathan Pye. Check him out. All right. Well, that's all I've got for you here in the headlines and clips. Hope you liked it. This is my new experiment here, doing video and posting it on Substack and YouTube and everywhere else in hopes that the video clips go a little further. So please share and tell people about the show and the channels. And thank you very much for being here. All right, let's get to it right now with the great David Rothkopf. He is one of my favorite guests, one of your favorite guests, my mom's favorite guest. You got to listen to Deep State Radio Network. Follow them on YouTube. Follow him on Substack at Need to Know and on Blue Sky. Read him at the Daily Beast. Let's do it with one of the best, Rothkopf. We're live on Substack, so I'm just so excited to see David Rothkopf, who I am a big fan and supporter of his whole Deep State Radio Network. I listen, I watch on YouTube, where he's got a massive following. If you're not a subscriber on YouTube, go do that now. And if you're here on Substack and you don't know me, well, all you need to know about me is I'm a big David Rothkopf fan, and I get to talk to the smartest people in the world, and I think he's one of them.
Oh, well, that's very sweet of you. I feel the same way about you. And we have 2 Substack channels. We have Deep State Radio channel, the DSR network, and we have one called Need to Know, which is sort of my own private stuff and one-on-one interviews and stuff that I've written. And so people can go there and sign up and be members just like on YouTube. And of course should be following everything you do. I dressed up for you. I want you to know, I don't know if you see this. I'm wearing, it says my Cabo Verde soccer jersey.
Oh, I thought it was a cycling jersey. I thought you were just out on a ride.
No, I'm for the little guy. I'm like Cabo Verde was the underdog, made the World Cup worth watching.
Oh, that's who it is. Okay. Yeah,
this is Cabo Verde shirt.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty hip. You're hip.
You are so right.
And you're so hip that you write at the Daily Beast, where I was just reading a few of your recent pieces. Everybody should go read everything you're writing over there. Is really good, that I want to talk with you about as well. So I wanted to make sure everybody knows that you're also joined their editor there on the podcast. You're a very big deal, and you get dressed up a lot.
I do dress up. I dress up for the Daily Beast ones, and I do. We do 10, 12 a week on our podcast. But you know something? We started doing a live podcast at the end of every week, like this kind of thing, with our daily. And we have, various different people. You'll have to join us for one of them. And I love it because the interaction with people here on the side. For example, there's a bit of a thing going among the people who are listening in about Bessent and Lutnick. And I'd be really interested to know who they think is more odious and disgusting.
Yes. Welcome to everybody, and thank you for the plugs. And the point you made about everybody, that all of them being so wealthy, is really unprecedented. Obviously, I guess maybe it's not unprecedented, but the bottom line is today, most importantly, I wanted to ask you, I feel like the top story with who the hell am I to decide and what criteria goes into it, but I want to learn as much as I can about what the fuck just happened with negotiations with Canada. I feel like that's a big, important story, and I wanted to see what your perspective was.
Yeah. Look, I think there are a few things that happened. One, it's just the latest example of Donald Trump and the people in his administration trying to flex muscles they don't have, trying to bully Canada in a way that the Canadians have just sort of said, nope. And, we got to watch Mark Carney all weekend, or watch Mark Carney today, being what we would dream an American president would be. He's smart. He understands the issues. When he talks about trade, he knows every single issue. He knows the process. This is a guy who ran the Bank of England before he ran the Bank of Canada and is now the Prime Minister of Canada. He has handled this extremely well. And, a while back, he wrote an article on middle powers and how this was kind of an era in which we're seeing a little bit of a waning of superpowers, and that middle powers could play a big role, particularly if they work together. And he is making that a reality by saying to Trump and Lutnick and these other characters who he called out in great detail, buzz off. You can't tell us not to use French. You can't tell us who we can trade with and who we can't trade with. Trump had this crazy crackpot True Social post in which he said Canada, wants to be the 51st state and without paying the price. And of course, that was Trumpian projection. Trump wants Canada to be the 51st state, and the Canadians want to have nothing to do with it. You think the people of Canada would like to not have health care, would like to have a government run by a lunatic that has contributed more to the debt, the national debt, the deficit of any administration in history? I mean, the United States right now is distant third among the leaders in North America, because you've got Carney, who's great, and you've also got Claudia Sheinbaum in Mexico, who's doing a fabulous job, and we've got this loser. And so, it's bad in that regard, because this is one of our most important trading partners, a country from whom we get tons of raw materials, steel and aluminum and electricity and all sorts of other goods. And the price of those things is going to go up, and the price of your car is going to go up if this keeps going, because the way the car is made is some is made in Michigan. It goes across the border to Canada. It goes back to Michigan. It goes across. And each time a tariff is added to that. And, the deal that Trump is blowing up, it's worth remembering, is the deal he negotiated Remember NAFTA? And he didn't like NAFTA, and he said it was a bad deal. And so last time around, he negotiated a new deal. And now he's coming in saying, I'm not going to do that. And so essentially what he's doing is he's sending the world a message. The United States of America cannot be trusted. But, and I think this is the encouraging part of this story, Carney is also sending a message, which is we know how to handle the bully. You don't bend the knee. You tell them to buzz off. You show strength. You plan ahead. You understand what the issues are. And this is happening everywhere. The Danes are doing it. Iran, no friend of ours, but the Iranians have told Trump, you may be a superpower, but we're going to win this war because we're willing to wait it out.
Well, not anymore. I'm glad you brought up Iran, because today our trusted Treasury Secretary and Legoized human wax figure, Scott Bessent, I don't care how it's pronounced, he gave a big press conference. All the networks carried it. He was super awkward and wooden as always. And even if he was saying something smart, you wouldn't believe it because look at him. But he announced it's an economic D-Day against Iran. And so that should be a real game changer. The markets seem to like it, David. He shows a lot of leadership, I felt, today with this.
Did you invest?
I did. I was busy. I was on a walk, but I called my persons and I said, invest now, right now.
Buy. Yeah. The battery of your crypto investors. Look, Bessent has this idea that he, which he undoubtedly pitched to Trump, which is, okay, well, look, we don't have any weapons left, so we can't really attack Iran. And they have control over the strait, so we can't really push that chip around on the table anymore. So let's wage economic war against them like they're waging economic war against us. And so what we'll go out to all of our friends and we'll say, look, you can't deal with Iran, and if you do, we're going to penalize you. Couple of problems.
Yeah.
One, we don't have any fucking friends left, right? So a lot of people want to tell us to buzz off. Two, the Chinese, before he even did this, said this policy is crazy. It's illegal. We're not going to follow it. And if China is not going to follow the policy, second largest economy in the world right now, it's not going to work. It's failed. It failed before the words came out of Bessent's mouth. As he was looking down, he almost looks like one of those characters in a 30s movie that wears like a pince nez, those little glasses.
You watch out. It's economic D-Day, see?
Yeah. And but he's like looking down his nose at everybody. But the reality is the policy failed before it started. If China's not in it, if a bunch of the Europeans aren't in it, if the Russians aren't in it, frankly, if a bunch of the regional economies aren't in it. And so it's not going to work. It's just going to be another failed effort in what is now a 6-month-long war that the United States loses every time it tries an initiative because the war is so fucking ill-conceived. And also because our country's run by a bunch of dunderheads who can't acknowledge when they've made a mistake.
Yes, you've written a new piece over the Daily Beast. Good lead-in, Rothkopf. Did you know, by the way, I was trying to write a theme song for your appearances, and nothing rhymes with Rothkopf?
I've never really given that much thought.
Oh, you should, and you put your people on it. Your piece at the Daily Beast, How Trump Assembled the Worst Cabinet in History. It matters so much. Every one of them, almost every one of them, except maybe the exception of Marco Rubio, can't really seem to communicate effectively without us thinking they're a complete joke, and then we can get to Rubio separately. But Hegseth has got to be probably the worst. I think that you also wrote a piece about him titled, I've Got Proof. This is the worst member of Trump's cabinet. He's also a future presidential hopeful, I think. But
he's in Iowa this week campaigning.
Yeah.
And I think if he's smart in Iowa, there's a lot of hogs in Iowa, and that is really a kind of an audience he might do well with. But humans, not so much. People who can read, not so much. People with fully developed frontal cortexes,
people who care about
so much.
The military. People who actually care about the military and paying attention to what's happened. They just fired the editor-in-chief of Stars and Stripes because they covered it accurately. Like, if you actually cared, you wouldn't like this fucking fake, phony, tough guy. Hegseth, sorry, I got a little
Calm down. I do see somebody out there saying, "Where's Minna?" This is a Pete Dominick production here.
Oh, I'm
this
confusing your people.
Because people think, well, this is on Need to Know. I'm joining from Need to Know, and Minna will be on our podcast, daily and also on the Friday Live podcast, as you've come to expect her. But here it's just me. I'm sorry. I know it's a letdown. Anyway, I do think that there is just to get to the point about that Daily Beast article. I've written a few books of history about how the White House works, and I've worked in and around there, and I've covered it. I've written a lot of articles. I cover this, take this stuff seriously. And, on this kind of a conversation, you want to say something big and dramatic. But I've given this a lot of thought. And I actually think that there is a very strong case to be made that not only is this the worst cabinet in American history, but that each individual member of this cabinet is the worst person ever to hold their cabinet post.
Yeah.
And I go through it in the article, and I think I make the case. And that includes Marco Rubio, who oversaw the deconstruction of USAID, the end of U.S. soft power, a move that'll probably result in 14 million people being dead around the world, the undermining of our alliances around the world, the violation of international law when we attacked the boats, when we attacked Venezuela, when we attacked Iran, when we attacked that school there. Marco Rubio has presided over the biggest collapse in American standing ever in our history.
Yeah.
And so, he seems nice. Maybe his suit is, a little better than, what you might expect from RFK Jr. He's not a screaming lunatic heroin addict with a brain worm, but he's the worst Secretary of State ever. And RFK Jr., certainly the worst Health and Human Services.
What about Linda McMahon at Education? She's doing a bang-up job.
She's doing a great job. Let's just pick up a couple of points with Linda McMahon. First of all, she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
Oh.
Secondly, as soon as she got in the job, she couldn't tell the difference between a bottle of A1 sauce and artificial intelligence.
That's true.
Thirdly, her mission when she went into the department was to shut down the department. Fourth, she's taken away vital services from people who need those vital services. And fifth, just this weekend, she was on a TV talk show and she was saying, you know what? I think we should put kids into contact with trade schools while they're in elementary school, which is just like, let's create a permanent underclass in America. Let's take education, upward mobility out of the question. She's a billionaire. You want to know how this affects her? It doesn't affect her. Okay. It just doesn't affect her. And that's the problem. If you have an administration with 57 centimillionaires in it, it's hard to imagine that 57 centimillionaires exist, right? But in this administration, there are 57 centimillionaires. There are 15 billionaires. And what you know from somebody like that is no matter what the policy, they won't feel it.
Yeah. Well, is centimillionaire, can you stop saying it? Does that mean 100 millionaires?
Yes.
100 million, $100 million or more?
Over in the 100 millions. Yeah.
I get triggered by it. And by the way, okay, I get it. Most of the people here are your subscribers, supporters, and fans. I get it. You're a big deal. I've always thought that. That's why I've always had you as a guest. But it seems a lot of people here are very upset about me not being Mina and or Riley. But the thing is, I am Riley. I have had a hard week.
Yeah, you have the same haircut as Riley. And Riley, I think, was wearing a green shirt earlier.
It's been a hell of a week.
It's bad news. But people, you should be following. If you're coming here from Need to Know or DSR Network, you should be following Pete Dominick. He has been on the news, funny, smart, every day for forever and ever. He did his first podcast during the James K. Polk administration.
That's right. Thank you. Somebody listens outside of my mom.
Yeah.
Polk.
Yeah. I mean, James K. Polk.
Here's what you need to know, folks. If you're a Rothkopf fan, my mother prefers him and subscribes to his Substack with a paid subscription and says to me, when will you have David on? My mom's 81 and all I hear is, where's my umbrella? When will you have David on? And more. She's a public school teacher. Hi, Mom. David's here. Let me ask you about
why do you attack public school teachers? Why don't you appreciate public school teachers?
I was going to say, when you talked about Linda McMahon, that the whole goal was or job is to destroy public education. That's been the conservative goal forever, because I've been on the forefront of advocating for public education and teachers unions all over this fine country of ours, because my mom was a public school teacher. So,
and you probably went to public school.
I did. We didn't even like the idea of private school. I didn't even know what it was.
I didn't really either. Where did you go to public school?
Outside Syracuse, New York.
Ah, that sounds like a very cold place to live, and I wouldn't have wanted to grow up there. That's why.
Well, we were skiers. My dad was a ski instructor my whole life, and so that we took advantage of every season, David.
And did you go to like Dinosaur Barbecue in Syracuse?
We sure did, of course. We're well known for that, and plenty of other things. Syracuse University, and it was a great place to grow up. I had a great childhood, and I grew up fighting bullies there, and that's why I do what I do now. My whole brand is bully fighting. I love it.
I went to public school in Summit, New Jersey, and there was a girls' school down the street that was a private school, but I don't think I ever met one of them. And I think our public school system is something that we should be investing heavily in. And the reality is that if you look at the Trump administration, what they have done is they have directly attacked the engines of our strength, the well springs of our strength, systematically. If Vladimir Putin sat in the Kremlin and said, how do we destroy the United States? And he'd say, destroy the education system, destroy higher education, make it so the best minds in the world stop coming to this country, stop funding science, stop funding R&D, promote quack science in the place of science, get rid of vaccination, destroy the Pentagon from the inside out. Step by step, what Scott Besson is doing. And this is not something we're like fully cognizant of yet, but as the deficit, as the national debt goes to $40 trillion, something is happening in the world, which is country after country saying, I don't think I trust the U.S. anymore. I don't trust them to manage their economy. I think it's too volatile. And they're pulling out of U.S. treasuries. And the reason he's been trying to intervene in treasuries and to keep the price up is because as they pull out, what is going to happen? We have to increase interest rates. It's going to be harder to buy a house. It's going to be harder to have a decent life. And so again, in the Kremlin plan to destroy America, destroy the dollar as a reserve currency, destroy our credibility as an arbiter of fair international trade, destroy our credibility as a military superpower. Literally destroy our environment, destroy our natural resources, push the immigrants out of the United States who've made America great. It's uncanny, the checklist of Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, wishes.
And anyone who would want to weaken the U.S., because these guys don't actually care about strengthening the U.S. or America at all. They care about strengthening themselves, enriching themselves. They've just empowered to sell our shit. America is like a garage sale, and obviously at the same time, it's going to weaken us. It's shocking that some worse things haven't happened, and I want to bite my tongue for even bringing it up, but there's still time, folks, and I still have a few minutes left with you, and I have two more big subjects / questions I want to ask you about, sir, and one of them is your reaction to the news over the weekend. I forget which outlet had it. You'll correct me or tell me that apparently the speaker, the minority leader and potentially future speaker of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, sat down with one of the most corrupt individuals that is anywhere near the administration, but isn't actually an elected leader, Jared Kushner. There's a lot of reaction that Hakeem Jeffries sat down with Jared Kushner, and I want to know what you think.
Well, there should be a lot of reaction, and frankly, everybody should be pissed off at this. Mike Johnson, the Keebler elf, who was also the Speaker of the House, immediately reacted against it because what Jared Kushner was doing was sending a message saying, we think we're going to lose the House. We think Hakeem Jeffries is going to be in charge. And Mike Johnson is like, don't write us off just yet. Mike Johnson hasn't learned the lesson of Trump, which is bend over backwards, do everything you can for Trump. He will betray. It doesn't matter. He will let you down. Every person in his family knows it. Every ex-wife of his knows it that is still living. Every business partner of his knows it. Every country in the world knows it. Mike Johnson will know it. The members of the Senate will know it. It will come. Meanwhile, on the other side of the equation, you've got Hakeem Jeffries. What's going on here?
That was a phone call.
Oh, for you? Okay. So I heard maybe it's Hakeem, but Hakeem Jeffries should never have met with this guy. This is not like the 1980s where, go meet with the opponents because we're going to have to compromise on things. This is a fascist, a corrupt person who has profited billions off of his position in the U.S. government, who supports a man who wants to destroy democracy, destroy our enemies, destroy our alliances, who has been an active supporter among many of the things that are destroying this country. Don't go meet with him. If you're going to meet with him, don't try to hide the meeting and make it private. And on top of this, Hakeem Jeffries has a little problem, which is he's not getting along with half his party. He has a problem with progressives. He didn't endorse Mamdani. I saw today Mamdani, in an act of enormous grace, said he still supports Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries never had the grace that Mamdani had on this whole thing. He has attacked the DSA. This is not the time for the Democratic Party to attack progressives because, first of all, we all agree fundamentally in the same thing. So let's have health care. Let's have better education. Let's tax billionaires fairly. Let's build the country. Let's preserve democracy. Let's have the rule of law. All these things, we support these things, but there are people in the Democratic establishment who are afraid of progressives because they think they're going to lose their jobs. This is the punchline. Hakeem Jeffries should lose his job. He should not be the leader of the Democrats. He probably will be, but he has already shown far too much of an appetite for compromise with people who should not be compromised with. If you're in a normal political setting, compromise. If you're dealing with the fucking devil, if you're dealing with Satan, every compromise is a victory for Satan. Every compromise is a step in the direction of evil. And that's where we are. This is not a time for compromise. It is a time for standing up, fighting, holding them accountable, and then rebuilding America with a vision for a country that actually creates opportunities for the 99% and not just the 1%.
Sounds like somebody's running.
Yeah. I know I have your mother's vote.
Oh, wow. That was like an accurate mom joke. But also, I want to push back on your reaction here. Not that I agree with this. I actually agree with your point of view. Plus, you're so worked up right now. I would be afraid that if you thought I believed this, you would get mad at me, and I'm scared of you. And so the pushback is Hakeem Jeffries should meet with Jared Kushner. It's a strategic meeting. It's a smart thing to do to have a relationship with this guy. And why are we coming down reacting so poorly or so reactively to a meeting? They met. What could possibly be?
First of all, if they thought it was perfectly okay to have the meeting, why hide the meeting? Secondly, Jared Kushner is not a representative of the government. He doesn't hold a position in the government. And in fact, the fact that he's out there negotiating for the government when we do not have his financial disclosure forms is a problem, and Hakeem Jeffries should be pushing that problem. Thirdly, Jared Kushner is somebody who has profited corruptly from his associations with this administration, and I don't think it's in the interest of the Democratic leader in the House of Representatives to meet with somebody who is fundamentally corrupt, trying to corrupt the system. Finally, the reason Jared Kushner was there, almost certainly, is because Donald Trump is terrified that he's going to get impeached again. And I think Donald Trump wants to have a back channel, and Jared is his back channel of choice, whether it's with the Iranians or whether it's with the Russians or whomever, who can go in and say, look, I know my father-in-law, and, don't impeach him. He's a good guy, and, he's in love, and, give him a chance to live out his life. And the reality is, of course, that's not something that ought to be on the block right now, ought to be open for discussion.
I see the reaction to folks watching live to my pushback there, which wasn't mine. I guess Joe Scarborough said something like that, and other people have this view.
Well, all those do. Look, there's all these establishment Democrats who are constantly like, let's find middle ground. In a normal political situation, that's a normal thing to say. But these people are corrupt criminals trying to destroy our country. There is no middle ground with that.
I have a special point to make. Even if you could find middle ground with Republicans in the House or Senate, and you made, say, a deal with them on something like, I don't know, housing, It wouldn't matter because the guy, well, eventually that did pass, but he wouldn't sign it.
They won't honor it. You're absolutely right. They lie.
It is not a deal. That's the problem. We never see anything like this. Who would do that? Who would behave this way? You'll never get anything done if you constantly pull the football away. And by the way, my point of view is the only time Hakeem Jeffries or any Democratic leader is meeting with Jared Kushner is at a hearing where he's the witness. I mean, it should be public, and he should be hauled up and have to answer all kinds of shit that he's done.
Well, and also if you're Hakeem Jeffries and you've already got a problem with half of your party for being too inclined towards compromise, and your last public statement was about something like why I don't like the DSA because they want to defund the police, which is a complete bullshit argument. Nobody wants to defund the police. I mean, there are a few whack jobs out there. Reform. They want to reform the police. It's like when people say shut down ICE, they're not saying that we shouldn't protect our borders. They're saying that we shouldn't have a bunch of Gestapo thugs protecting our borders.
Yeah.
They have corrupted that organization. It needs to be shut down and it needs to be replaced. But he's looking for the soft middle ground. And the reality is we know where that leads. We are 10 years into the era of Donald fucking Trump. We have seen what Chuck Schumer's leadership in the Senate got us. We have seen what Hakeem Jeffries' leadership has gotten us. We have seen where compromise has gotten us. End it. For good. End it. Let's get some new leaders. Let's get them from a new generation. Let's go to the people. Like when you listen to Tallarico or you listen to Ossoff or you listen to AOC, what do you hear? You hear people who say, we're going after the corruption. We're going to hold them accountable. And then we're going to start to work for the American people. We're going to start making schools better. We're going to start making hospitals more accessible. We're going to start fixing potholes. You know, this whole movement is not craziness. It's good governance.
I was talking to my friend Christian Finnegan, who lives in New York, and he made a really interesting point I was asking him about Mamdani. He's like, it's crazy to be living in New York City and see government working and be rooting for it and seeing people be happy about it while also living in the United States.
Well, it's crazy, but it's incredibly refreshing, right?
Yeah.
Mamdani put out a video today about fixing, a big strip of the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. You're not from New York, that doesn't mean a lot to you, except that this is
important.
It's a 70-year-old road that hasn't been improved, that mayor after mayor doesn't do anything about. And he's got a plan, and it's not going to shut down Brooklyn, and it's not going to send cars into the neighborhoods. And he explained it simply. He explained it directly. It's because he actually listens to people. And that's what makes good governors, good mayors, good people in the Senate and the House stand out, is that they're actually thinking of trying to get shit done for people. And by the way, they can be moderates. They can be progressives. I don't care who it is. Fix my life. Stop giving everything to billionaires. Stop just destroying the assets of this country in order to serve the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, and start doing stuff for the people who need some help, who want an opportunity, who will work their asses off if given the help, and who are the ones who built America in the first place.
I thought I misheard you. I thought you said fix my wife. I was like, why did he say that? Why?
I did not say that. My wife is fantastic.
I know, you're very
and is perfect.
Yeah.
She does not need to be fixed.
No fixing you need to be fixed, I bet. Anybody needs.
Yeah, okay. Fine.
Just saying.
Fine. Just attack me. I'm here as your guest, accepting your hospitality and enjoying it, of course.
Last thing I want to ask you as my guest is just to weigh in on, as I've always, every time I talk to you, and I always look to see if you've written about it or posted anything about it on Blue Sky or talking about it, Deep State Network, which is Russia, Ukraine. And it's just so hard to follow along with everything else. But it seems like they've run out of defense missiles. They're good on offense. They're bad on defense. There's a scandal with the leadership to some extent. Zelensky could be seen a challenger. What do you want to say about the current conflict and who might have momentum, or what we need to know about this?
I like this person. Is it Geneva? It says, David, tell his mother he was mean to you. I hope your mother's listening to this and that she knows you're being mean to me.
She won't like that. She won't. She'll be like, why are you mean to him?
Well, don't be mean to David. Poor guy. Look,
I'll tell you why. Because I'm jealous, because I lower other people to feel better about myself. And in this case, it's David because he's very successful and, he's doing well in this space. And he seems like, he's just had a charmed life and, he's got great. Everything's going good for him, and I just don't
thought that was going someplace, and it didn't. Anyway, look, here's the thing with Ukraine. Donald Trump doesn't like Ukraine. He was never going to support Ukraine. He's cut back on the weapons for Ukraine. He's cut back on the support that we gave Ukraine. And in so doing, he sent a message to Ukraine, and he did it also by insulting Zelensky in that first meeting and so forth. And that was, you're on your own. Well, what did Ukraine do? Did it fold? Did it go to the negotiating table as Trump thought it would make them do? Heck no. They said, this is our country. It's up to us to figure out a way to survive. It's up to us to develop our own defense industry if we can't count on them. It's up to us to find our own deals with the Europeans and others if we can't count on them. And here we are, well into this war, which, by the way, began in 2014 and then escalated. Here we are. Ukraine is the world leader in drone technology, or certainly among the world leaders. Ukraine has drones now flying out, hundreds of drones, 1,000 drones one night, to Moscow, to Siberia, into destroying the sort of hubs of their Amazon-like wild berries network, destroying their refineries, picking off the Black Sea Fleet, reasserting their control over the Crimean Peninsula. Right now, Ukraine has the upper hand. Russians are losing 45,000 people every couple of weeks, even with the North Koreans sending people, even with getting help from other places. Russia's in an economic crisis. It's in a military crisis. Nobody thinks of Russia as a superpower anymore. Russia is losing this war, and it is entirely a tribute to the courage and the creativity and the enterprise of the people of Ukraine and their ability to cooperate. Today, the new prime minister of the UK is in Ukraine meeting with Zelensky. He's building ties. And it is entirely in spite of the efforts by Donald Trump to undermine them, by Steve Witkoff to undermine them, by Jared Kushner to undermine them. And, the reality, of course, is Trump undermines them when he knows he's doing it and when he doesn't. Because when we used up our Patriot missiles and our Tomahawk missiles and our precision missiles down to just 10% left of our reserves in this war with Iran, we made it impossible to provide aid to places like Ukraine or anywhere else.
That's what I thought, but I don't follow such chain of custody reporting, but that's what it seems.
But the Ukrainians are coming up with an answer. They are taking this war to the Russians, and it's really a incredibly heroic story. It's in some ways, it's kind of the story of our age.
Yeah.
This little country stood up in the face of a former superpower and said no. And in so doing, stood up for democracy, stood up for Europe, stood up for the Western Alliance, even when the most powerful country in the world shirked its responsibilities in this regard. It tells a lot about the time we live in. And I find it very moving, honestly.
I do too. And I find everything you just said moving. You're like Ukraine to me.
The little engine that could.
I really appreciate your time as always. And for all of your listener subscribers that were expecting something different and were disappointed to see me and not Deep State Radio Network, I am so sorry. But
nobody is disappointed to see you. Everybody should follow you, Pete. One of the things we're trying to do at the DSR network and at Need to Know is we're trying to build an informal alliance of progressive voices out here on Substack and elsewhere. That's why we do this live show every week, and we bring in people like on Friday. We've got my friend Jen Welch from I've Had It. Last week we had
big guy.
We had Waj Ali. Week before we had Mary Trump. In a couple of weeks we've got Lee McGowan. We've got Tara McGowan coming. But the point is, all of us are the future of media, because CBS isn't the future of media.
Yeah.
NBC is not the future
But
of media.
I think that, but within that, I think it's important. I appreciate you including me and the names you mentioned, but like we do have to, and everybody watching and listening, we do have to be inscrutable. We do have to understand who we're giving our money to and how they're getting paid and what their incentives are. And I think your reputation is your credibility or your currency now more than ever. That's why I've had you on for years. Before that, I didn't want to have you on, but now I think your reputation is sterling. No, I've been all the way back to Foreign Policy Magazine. I think I've been talking to you, and so you got to find people who are doing it for kind of the right reasons and who aren't grifters. There's a lot of shit out there within the progressive media.
Well, no, but frankly, there's a lot of shit out there in kind of this general movement, because honestly, I'll tell you something here, and there's only a couple hundred people sitting here listening, so it's just between us. Okay?
Add 2,000 on my podcast tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, but listen, there's a lot of people out there who are portraying themselves as advocates for change.
Yes.
They aren't.
Right.
They're not. They're never Trumpers who liked Reagan, who liked Bush, and who want to go back to that, and who therefore are quite critical of anything that seeks to actually solve the deep-seated problems the United States has.
I have a test.
I don't trust them. There's one other factor I wanted to bring up here, though, because you're right. All we have is our own skepticism as our ally to go and listen carefully and try to determine the truth and who is it. But I have another rule with this informal network. The rule is no assholes. Life is too short. Let's just deal with people we like. There is some part of our radar that keeps us away from people who are bad people.
Yeah, and you and I could name names all day, but the truth is just us mentioning it means that we're not in that club. But I will say this, I was really disappointed. I was at Glenn Kirshner's big event. Everybody knows Glenn Kirshner. He's got a huge account, the former federal prosecutor, good friend of mine, and he was at an event, had his subscriber event. All these big names were there. Waj was there. But I met Brian Tyler Cohen, who might be like the biggest following in progressive media. And I was really disappointed to find out how much I liked him.
Well, it's hard for you to deal with the success of other people. Oh. And I know you're in therapy for that. And someday you'll realize that you're successful and that
Do you think I'm enough?
No, you're enough. You are every bit. You're every bit enough. And by the way, somebody is talking there about Gil Duran, and we're going to have him on our podcast. We are trying.
Oh, I have tomorrow. Gil Duran will be here at Stand Up With Me tomorrow, getting the scoop on David. I think I talked to him once before. You've talked to him several times, haven't you?
No, never have. Oh. But we've got him on. And here's the point. We are what CBS and NBC used to be. We are the network. It's a little bit more like the French Resistance. We are informal, but we are there. We talk to each other. We're trying to bring the right people out there. We're trying to get them out. We may not do it in huge increments of people, although I don't know about yours. DSR Network this month is around 3 million downloads. Is it 3 million?
That's amazing.
And there are a lot of people out there like that. And if after a while you don't see them on our show, that's because you heard it here first that we have the no asshole rule.
Yeah.
There are even some progressive assholes, and I just don't deal with them.
Yeah, I fully agree. But there does need to be some kind of policing, and we're really doing it of each other for the most part. By the way, I'm just looking at my stats here. I had 100 million downloads.
You passed 100 million downloads?
Just today.
Or today you had 100 million. Yes. Here's me as a consumer of information going, that's complete bullshit. I know bullshit when I hear it.
No, I'm just looking at my screen here.
Yeah, the counter, your download counter.
I'm so committed to this bit. I'm literally looking at a picture of my daughters off on my desk.
And how are your daughters? Are they doing okay?
Don't know.
All right.
Both in Europe. I just became empty nest 3 weeks ago. I'm in the stuff now. I'm in transition, the final stage of my midlife crisis, because my daughters are going to college in Europe because they're EU citizens. I'm very proud of it. They're doing awesome. I'm super grateful and feel very lucky, but I may or may not cry a few times a day. I took down all the pictures of them though.
I used to, when my two daughters, who are now in their mid-30s, when my two daughters went off to college, I would go into the room with them and I would think about them leaving, and I would excuse myself from the room and go cry in the room next door because I couldn't bear the thought of them.
I built the shed outside just to cry.
It's good. It's all a good feeling.
It is.
Them being EU citizens is smart. Going to school in Europe is smart.
Yep.
You can go visit them in Europe. That's very smart. And
it would be helpful if I got a few more subscribers to be able to afford that flight. But
you're well on your way here.
Right now, I'm taking a steamship to
Europe,
to Amsterdam to meet my daughters, and they're making me sleep on the deck. So I'm going to look even saltier.
That's how my father got to this country.
Really?
He escaped the Nazis, and he was in steerage in a steamship out of Trieste, Italy.
Where is that story published, or have you talked about it?
It's in the movie about my life, starring Brad Pitt as me.
I don't think I heard about this movie or that they chose Brad Pitt to star as you. I heard.
Well, it's the obvious choice.
I heard that Steve Buscemi had passed.
No, he had died. You mean?
Oh, that's crazy. I don't know if maybe I heard you'd say that about your dad. How do you explain your anti-Semitism given that?
You're such an asshole. I'm beginning to rethink everything. It's not anti-Semitic. If I have to repeat this, to oppose the government of Israel, to oppose Bibi Netanyahu, to oppose genocide, that's not anti-Semitism. That's actually philo-Semitism. That's pro-Jewish. It's wanting the best interest for the Israeli people. And the fact that you have bought into the AIPAC line on that suggests to me that you're on the tape. The Israeli far right.
Do you support these Muslim candidates that keep doing so well?
Absolutely. Well, of course. This is America, for Christ's sake.
They're going to create Saeed. I heard yesterday. Who was it? Somebody on one of the Republicans on the CBS Face the Nation. No, it was Meet the Press, because I remember there was no pushback, so I'm not sure if it's true or not. Saeed wants to enforce Sharia law. Abdul al-Saeed in Michigan. I heard it on Meet the Press.
Yeah. Again, this is this thing about filtering out what you hear. Abdul al-Saeed is a public servant brought up in Michigan. Unlike the guys running against Rogers, he actually lives in Michigan, who attended Columbia. I'm sympathetic. He got his medical degree there. Then he goes to Oxford. He is a public health specialist. He is as good a candidate as you're ever going to get. And he's going to win in Michigan. And we're going to see that across the country, it's not the labels. Set aside the fucking labels. It's not the labels. It's who is going to help me and who is on the take. And our system is rigged. Who's going to unrig our system? That's what it's about. And he's a great candidate. Just like Zoran Mamdani is a great candidate and is now showing America how you run a big city.
Anti-Semitic pro-Sharia David Rothkopf, everybody.
Oh boy.
Have to do a live read for a protein powder.
Yeah. Well, that's what is it about protein powders that make these people so crazy? And also there's this whole White House diet where they're all eating meat and sauerkraut. That's the only thing they're eating.
The masculinity crisis in the conservative movement is really getting to be pretty openly gay.
Yeah, but the whole meat and sauerkraut thing suggests they've got another crisis that we don't hear much about.
Oh, that they have an issue around.
Maybe, but that they're farting a lot.
Oh, it's so gross. All of it's so gross from RFK and all the rest of the behavior. The outward. Sean Duffy, though, you didn't take him on.
I did a little in this article, and Sean Duffy's just such a nitwit.
Did you see his wife? That clip that went viral of the reality show that apparently he's doing, where he tells his daughter she can't go to Harvard. You see that?
I saw. I also saw that when we had a problem with air traffic controllers, they went out and they got 2,000 gamers. And they said, hey, why don't you guys become the air traffic controllers? So they set up a fast track for training these gamers, and they're now going to be our air traffic control system.
Wow, Steamship is looking even better.
It's looking like a smart choice there, Pete.
David H. Rothkopf, everybody. H stands for Honus. Weird middle name, but you mentioned his dad.
My middle name, it's Jay. And anybody in the audience who can listen to figure out what my middle name is without looking it up on the internet could get a free subscription to Need to Know or the DSR network.
Yeah. And I will send anybody who guesses that this
fine Sharpie.
Got a nice Sharpie. I'm going to guess Jesus.
With J?
Yeah.
I guess that's been done before, but no, it's not.
John? Jonas.
Okay. Hey, everybody. It's been real nice being here with Pete.
Is it Jeffrey?
And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.
Jarrell?
Look at all these names.
Josiah? Thank you very much for joining us live, everybody. That was really fun. I always learn a lot from hearing you, listening to you. Go subscribe on YouTube, on Substack, and Blue Sky, and everything else. And I'm at Stand Up with Pete. It's great to meet all of David's fans. And hi, Mom.
Keep up the good fight.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate y'all. Bye. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
When the tyrants taunt you and the sirens teach you, better stand up. Stand up. Let the brave meet the challenge. Let the weak flee. Boy, you better stand up. Stand up. When you're tired of begging, saying pretty please, that's the time you gotta finally get up off of your knees. When you can't see the forest for the burning trees, you got to stand up. Hey, you've been sitting so long, you got the creaky knees, you got to stand up. Stand up. I think you're driving wheels with leaking grease. Boy, you better stand up. Stand up. Well, there's a whole lot more of us who know what's right. They'll keep right on ignoring us if we keep sitting tight. You got to open up the window to let in some light. You got to stand up. That's right. You got to rise up. You got to stand up. You got to stare the devil straight in the eye. We got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear when all you hear is a lie. So get up off of your butt, get down off of your fence. Even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense. And you stand up, stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town. Just stand up, stand up. You know they can't deny you what you're laying down. Boy, you better stand up, stand up. Show your face of every color, yellow, black, red, and brown. She's the place where every lost child will finally be found. There's only one thing to do before we stand our ground, and that's stand up, stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up, they had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of stand up. But all they had to go on was the time they were in, with other causes for laws, and since they weren't even sin, they knew that change was gonna come before the change would begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We gotta let him know it's his time to go, and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see him flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. All right. We got to speak up, we got to reach up, and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it but now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside, and listen well and it'll tell you not to run and hide. It says stand up, stand up.